Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here for Popternative, speaking to Alexa Barajas about Yellowjackets on Showtime. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, we have been talking about doing this interview for quite some time. I'm glad we waited, right?
Now we can get to the good stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure, the finale just happened. I mean, I bet it's just been crazy on your end. I mean, has it hit you that the whole season is finally out now?
It's crazy to think. Because, before, I knew what was going to happen, but now that everything's out, and it all happened so quickly, too, because it feels like we just finished shooting, and now that everything is just already out to the public is insane.
It's an interesting thing because, you sign on to a show, you might know what to expect because you're reading the scripts, you're auditioning, you go in and you do some table reads and stuff, but it's like, what it actually has become, it's kind of mind-blowing a little bit.
Absolutely mind-blowing, yeah.
It's so crazy. What did you know when you signed on for this project? I'm just curious. Did you know much?
I had read the pilot.
Okay.
So that's really all I knew. I had read the pilot. I knew it was filming in Vancouver. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean I know it's just so crazy. There's so much going on in the show. What do you think? I'm curious because it's out now and it's been insanity on social media. People are going nuts about theories and there's so many things happening. And I can't even imagine how you process all those. So my question is, how are you processing all the theories and all the memes? How has that been so far?
Honestly, it's pretty hilarious sometimes because especially when the episodes weren't fully out and people were they had clips from future episodes and trying to figure out who's who. Yep. And then I remember there was one where it was a clip from 9 when we're running through the woods and I'm holding a stick up. And then people were like, who is that? Who is that? And it was some people did think oh, that's Mari. And then they put a picture next to next to the that image and then me and they're like, no, they don't look anything alike. And I'd be like, but it is me. So it was funny just to see how people were like, it's this, it's that. And
I was
wrong and right they are.
It's hard to do theories for this show, especially when you watch it episode after episode, because you have kind of ideas of things and then stuff happens in episodes. One episode and you're just that does not work anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So many plot twists.
Yeah, so many plot twists, so many things that are happening. I still think my favorite memes are the Jeff book club memes. I don't know if you saw some of those.
There's no book club. So good. There were so many too.
There's so many. How do you, as kind of a storyteller and an actor, Alexa, kind of deal with all kind of the theories? I mean, we know there's a season 2. Our society and our culture, we always want more and binge culture and it aired episode to episode, but you're gonna have a lot of people now because it's so hyped right now are gonna go and binge it all, right? How do you prepare yourself as kind of an actor for all of that, for all the theories and all the questions? Can you even prepare yourself?
I mean, I don't know. I think what I try to do is make sure I'm not spoiling anything. Yeah. I think mainly that's a huge thing for me. I'm I don't want to spoil anything. And just make sure that I'm not going on socials too much, I think maybe would be something that I do. Just having some consciousness with that. But I don't really know what you can do to prepare for it.
Did you might, I'm sure when you were filming it and talking to everyone, you knew it felt like a cool set and it felt like there was something special and everything, but it's hard to kind of predict things, right? Because this is they're saying this is borderline phenomenon stuff. It's up there. Yeah, I'm just saying, no pressure, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about all that? It's been pretty crazy.
It's just insane to think about because I think we all felt it was a really special project while we were filming. Everyone was wow, this is really awesome. But then it's also is it actually really awesome, or is it because we're attached to it and we just love it so much that we think it's so awesome, right?
Yeah.
And to now see how much people have been liking it, and it's oh no, this really is awesome, and it's crazy, and to watch it keep growing is it's just mind blowing.
I have a kind of like a storyline question involving your character and everyone else kind of, what are you even calling it, by the way? Is it an island? Is it like a community? Like, what is it called? Like, where you are? Like, is there a name for it?
I say the forest.
The forest, okay.
The woods.
The woods. Okay, so here's the thing, right? You know, you are all in a situation where you kind of have to adapt and become this community. There's no choice, you know what I mean? A lot of people you see don't want to be part of this community and everything. What's that like, kind of reading the scripts and seeing kind of all the tension and all the boiling points with all these characters, Alexa, that are thrown into a situation where they really have no choice at all but to be part of a community? I find that really interesting.
Yeah, the first thing I think of is like when we're doing, I can't remember which episode, but it's in the beginning, and it's like the vote to go to the lake. Yes. And it's like, who's gonna say yes and who's gonna say no, and what is like the reasoning like behind it, and like what do you do in those situations? Yeah. And then later on, I think everyone kind of takes on a role of like, okay, well, we're here. So in the meantime, these people are like, I remember I had to be the one to go and get water to the lake, and like everyone on a certain role, yep, what they're good at. But before that, it was kind of like, so how are the dynamics going to work out here? Yeah. What do we do? And figuring that out with everyone having such different opinions was really interesting to see.
And I'm putting it in it's not a super huge spoiler, but I'm putting it just in case in the comments. This is kind of a spoiler. Not really, but like it's spoiling something that happens. I mean, your character specifically gets kind of fed up with Jackie. Like, you're over it. If you know what I'm talking about, so right? Yeah, exactly.
Because, you know, you really see that growth in like the first episode and the second, where, well, even like just like the beginning of the season where she adores Jackie. And I think, you know, even before the crash, she just like really, really adored Jackie. And then I guess spoiler, by the end of the season, you know, she's at a whole different place and thinks of it completely differently.
Absolutely. And I'm going to cuss. I never cuss, but I have to. I mean, so many theories, so many things. Who the fuck is Lonnie Matthews? Where the fuck is Javi? Where's Javi? Like,
where is Javi?
I usually don't swear, but like I have, like, it's so, man, like,
justified.
It's pretty crazy, you know, because I spoke to Luciano as well. Like, I interviewed him, and he told me his mind is blown about like how many questions there are like about his characters from episode 1 to episode 10. It's pretty crazy.
It's so crazy. Oh.
It's so crazy, and it's one of those things too where, you know, the adapting thing is interesting. What happened with Jackie was crazy, and it just disappoints me a bit because a lot of you is kind of like, oh, come on, like, get along, like, someone go in there and like bring her in type thing. Like, I was thinking that. I don't know about you. Like, I was like, they just gotta like bring her inside. She's gonna freeze to death.
Literally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a viewer, I'm watching and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why are you kicking her out? Like, this doesn't make sense. She has a point. But, you know, in that moment, I think it was more like you are the one who disagrees with all of us, then why are we changing our minds? So,
yeah. Is it weird to like you've seen it, right? Have you seen Yellowjackets?
Yes.
I always ask that because you can't assume, you can't assume that anymore, because I totally go in and like ask people like, what'd you think of your character and stuff? And then they're totally like, I haven't watched it yet, so I can't really comment. And I'm like, yeah. So you've watched it. Is it kind of strange sometimes, like watching it as like a viewer, and then like before that you were like filming it, you might see like glimpses of the playback stuff. Like, what's that like a little bit?
Totally. It's really cool to see how it cuts together and how it blends with like the older or like the present time and with our stuff, and just like where they decided to stay on, because, you know, we do so many different angles and get so much coverage of things that to see how it actually came together is really interesting.
Yep.
And just like how, I don't know how to explain it. Like when you're there, you're seeing everybody and everyone's seeing you. And it's just kind of like a different kind of perspective you have on it than when you're watching it and you're just like getting like the little like glimpses of it.
Now, no, it does. Absolutely. Now I'm 95% sure. So I'm taking a 5% chance right now because you were in The Flash a little bit, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, perfect. I'm pretty sure, but like, yeah, you were. Okay. So
I was, yeah.
My next question is like with Yellowjackets, you know, obviously people are watching like supernatural components, survival, thriller, all that stuff. The Flash is like straight up like nerd geek culture, comic book culture. I'm just curious because when I was growing up, when I like at school, I used to get made fun of all the time for wearing like a Batman shirt and a Spider-Man shirt. Now I'd be like the coolest kid in school. What do you kind of think about that kind of transition where like the shows like The Flash and everything, the transformation? It's like cool to be a geek. It's like popular culture, so to speak.
Totally. Well, I think that these shows also just like have the way they make them is like so that they're for more audiences, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like made in a way where like an older audience also feels captivated by it. So then I think it's not like, oh, you like that show? It's almost like, no, I think it's cool too. So then it just like the majority of the people find it cool, and then all of a sudden it's not seen as weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And things change. And I also go back to Yellowjackets too before we wrap up. I also had specific things I wanted to ask you filming wise. Post-crash, pre-crash. What was it like filming some of the soccer stuff? That's my first question. What was that like?
It was freaking awesome because I always wanted to be part of a soccer team. I never joined a soccer team, so when I got to wear like the jersey and the shoes and just like the outfit or the uniform, it was super cool. It was just and like our look is so different because it's like, oh, we're not getting dirt put on us. Like this is so strange and so not what we're used to. So
and then like in the gym, like the pep rally, like you come out to Good Vibrations by Marky Mark is like the best thing ever.
Oh yeah. Well, that was in the pilot, so I wasn't even actually there for that. I was there for like I got to do like the pictures from before and stuff, but I'm not in that pilot.
Were you in any of the like? Did you have to do any training for the soccer?
I didn't end up doing any scenes where I'm actually playing soccer, so I didn't. But I'm not sure if the rest of the girls did.
Okay.
Or the rest of the cast did.
Because it's like yourself and Kia, right? You're kind of like a tag team a little bit, like on like in the forest, right? Like you're always like sticking together, basically.
Oh yeah, became like this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And of course, my next question is like one of my favorite episodes of the whole show, like the Doomcoming. What was that all like? What was it like filming that?
Oh, it was a crazy episode. It was super fun. It was cool to see everybody like dressed up and like just in like I don't know, just like something different than what we had before. I really loved my outfit. Like I loved having like the fuzzy on top and like wearing a dress. It was fun and just just something different than what we had been doing.
It was a crazy episode for Travis too.
Very Travis.
Yeah. Social media was like blowing up with all that.
Oh, like they're like, what is going on? I mean, I think all of us were when we were reading the script, we're all like, what?
Have you had a chance to go through like the Reddit of Yellowjackets?
I haven't gone through all that much, but I have skimmed it.
It's like it's crazy. Like they're so into it. Like you would think, I think one of the coolest things, and I think, you know, if you talk to the showrunners, you talk to your cast and everything, this show just came out as like, it's pretty new basically, right? Like it just wrapped and people like, it feels like it's been around for a long time. Like
the amount of people who are like, this is going to happen.
Yes.
Everyone's so into it. Yeah, totally.
And it got renewed for season 2, which is amazing.
Woo!
Which is awesome. I don't know if you're actually allowed to answer this, but I'm gonna, if you no comment. Did you know before everyone else that it was like renewed? Or did you find out when everyone else did?
No, I found out when everyone else found out.
Okay, good. I was about to say, I'm like, am I allowed to ask that? I was like
No, I found out with everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like athletes too. Like some athletes find out like on social media if they've gone like traded. Which is totally. Like
I don't know if anybody else. I'm sure some people found out beforehand, or I want to say that some people did, but
well, yeah, but like it's pretty exciting. And then people are gonna ask you like season two, and it's kind of like you don't really know anything. Is that a misconception too, where like people think you know everything about stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big misconception.
Just as clueless.
Yeah. do you think people are gonna like clue in that like you guys show up, you do your thing, and everyone asks like Luciano, right, was telling me, like, everyone asks about Javi. He's like, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I have no idea.
If anything, I'm like, you guys know more than I do sometimes, I find, because of the attention to all the details of everything. Like that sometimes I don't even catch on to.
Let's spitball some kind of ideas. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in season 1 to end. I mean, we want to know if a lot of your characters are alive. Like we don't know if you're like alive, right? Like for like the present times. So I'm curious what they're gonna do with that. Is it just exciting to see kind of what happens and going with the flow a little bit though?
Oh, absolutely. I think every week that we got a new script, it was like, oh my gosh, we have a new script. And everyone's just like super excited to read it and find out what's happening. And if our own theories are like being proven, because while we were filming, everyone's like, oh, well, this is going to happen next. Or like maybe this happens next. And then as the next one came, it was like we had that same experience almost that everybody else had. We just had it a bit earlier when they were coming. The scripts were coming out.
100%. No, it's so great. I'm so happy for you and the cast and the crew. It's so amazing. Alexa, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. It was so great chatting with you.
You too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, all 10 episodes are available now. So if they haven't watched it, they can watch it. But if they have watched it, they can watch it again. And I'm sure they have over and over again. And they're pausing it. Man, I was reading an article. There's like little theories. Like I was an article, like the creators and the showrunners were talking in like an interview and saying that like there's little things that we didn't even think of that people are like pausing and like going into detail about that like we had no idea. Like apparently something about, I don't know if you heard about this, Jackie or someone in their journal had like there was like a script or like a movie or something.
Oh, I think I heard.
Yeah, and like you pause it, but it's like
and I'm like, what? You guys paused there?
It's so crazy. But no, this was great. Where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
I only really use Instagram, so I can be followed at Barajas __.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Alexa Barajas and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.